All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again for another special episode of the Big Go Belt Podcast. I'm Two Chains with the co-host Jamal. What's going on, my man?
Not much.
Happy Thursday. And again, like I said, special edition of the Big Go Belt Podcast. And today we are gratefully blessed by the champion of the young percent, of the 1%, the young and the handsome, Mr. Logan Easton LaRoux. What's going on, my man?
What's going on? How you guys doing?
Pretty good,
Cool.
pretty good. The young and the handsome. I mean, such a catchy title, right? But it's so true, right?
Of course.
I think with that being said, but I just have to lend an ear out to the fans of the crowd from every Nova Pro fan. Everyone wants to meet the young and the handsome, but you're not out there at the merch tables or the meet and greets. I was asked this question: how come? Is there no better way to address that but then right now?
I mean, that's fine. You can ask me. I'm not gonna be still, but you can ask.
So how come? I know why. I know what's the reason why. Because the 99% people aren't privileged enough to be blessed by you, but maybe they want to hear from your mouth.
That's great. You're paying to go to a wrestling show. You're not paying to be my friend.
There you have it. So stop asking me how come he doesn't come out. You heard it from him. So, but anyway, we have Logan Easton LaRoux. We have a lot to talk about. This show is going to be great because again, there's going to be you know who you're dealing with. You guys have seen him. You've seen his work. You know the lifestyle he lives, and he blessed us with some time of his day. So we're going to get right into it. So Logan Easton LaRoux, gentrification of pro wrestling, the gentrification of the 99%. What does that mean?
That means pro wrestling is a sport for gentlemen. I intend to make it and to make it continue to be a sport for gentlemen. To do away with a lot of the wacky characters, to do away with the unneeded violence and foolish spots with blood and chairs and all that kind of stuff, and to be the best athlete possible.
No doubt you're definitely up there in the upper echelon and best athletes. Now, cheers. I totally agree with that because I feel like anytime I've ever been near or have purchased a front row seat, you have actually claimed it for yourself plenty of times.
Is that right?
I don't know. It must be a target or something on our back, but we've been wiped out plenty of times by you. Like literally the last time you wrestled on Cupid's Chokehold, I had got some food and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go eat that down there. I'll just stand up just in case. I like my odds better standing up.
Yeah, you tend to find your way into the first, second, third, fifth row somehow. Usually it's not of your own doing. Eric Royal managed to put you in our laps a couple times. So, I mean, it is what it is. But you say that you bring it's a gentleman's sport. And you want to bring that back to professional wrestling. Interested to know what exactly would you take out? Like, is it the crazy spots, or is it the the death matches and stuff? Would you want it like just nice chain technical wrestling? Arguably the way it should be.
No, I wouldn't say that necessarily. I don't think my style is all chain and technical wrestling.
So then what would you take out then? How could we make this a little bit more, I don't want to say legitimate because it is what it is, but how do we make this more of a gentleman's game?
Make it more of a gentleman's game. I think we should take out the t-shirt wearers, the people that don't spend any time in the gym or in the ring. I think if you have to use crutches, such as big moves off the top or weapons or anything like that, you don't belong in the ring with me.
Okay.
Those are probably the two main things.
I see. So then you want the people that can actually go and do the work instead of the ones that just fake it and then they're blown up in 5 minutes. You got to carry them for another 20.
Yeah, get blown up in 5 minutes. You have no business being inside of a professional wrestling ring. I don't care if you have a style that can hide those deficiencies, or you think that you're a talented enough performer or wrestler to make up. But if you're so out of shape that you can't last more than 5 minutes, you don't belong in a Nova Pro ring. And we might see some people like that on this sink or swim tryout show. So we'll see.
You know what? I'm just going to add my 2 cents to this right now. And I've been saying this all over Twitter. Please, people, for anyone who's listening or friends of anyone who's going to be on that trial show, help your friends out. It's a trial show. It's more like a job interview. Get y'all stuff together, please. Have your look.
I'm looking at these pictures. I think the crop of talent is pretty decent that's coming up. I'm excited for this show.
All right on. And again, which I just saw announced on the Nova Pro Twitter page, that Sink or Swim show will be headlined by your champion of the 1% against Safety First Tim Donst, which is going to be one hell of a match. I mean, arguably, people will rank, in the Nova Pro ranks, Tim Donst is maybe being the best baby face in the company versus the biggest heel, which I wouldn't say you was a heel,
subjective.
but what can we expect from that match? Besides me losing my front row seat again.
I'm pretty excited for it. It's a first time ever matchup, but it was actually scheduled for the very first Nova show. And then with licensing issues and all that stuff, people not showing up, licensing main thing being that some people didn't get their paperwork in time, the main event ended up being switched. So it was me, Tim, and Sanjay Dutt was the first main event. I'm really excited about this one. What can people expect? I think, without a doubt, that's going to be the best match of the tryout show. I'm going to do my best to beat him and make sure that we have the best match of the entire night, including the women's show.
Now, I have to go back to last year, Life is Like a Box of Chocolate. Now, granted, I was very, very, very fooled. And when you pulled your mask off, I mean, I couldn't even manifest the feelings of what was happening. But arguably last year, you stole the show again on the child show as being Jean Jean Lebon, which I had actually down for one of my questions. Will we see him return for the child show this year? But
I think with the current administration, I don't know if Jean Lebon can get that visa. But we'll see.
I got to tell you guys, if you've never seen that match from last year's trial show, I believe it might be on Nova Pro's Twitter. I mean, YouTube.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it might be though.
But what a match! What a match all the way down. Which that match ultimately led to your rightful spot for a championship match for the Ultra J Championship. Against Czech Sterling, Sanjay Dutt, and Bobby the Body Shields. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. But overall, I mean, I'm just to promote for the next show. The trial show was awesome and led to storylines going into the main show for the night. So you don't want to miss that. Step over to the Nova Pro Twitter page, get your tickets now. You get the trial show for $5 if you get tickets for the first all-women show in Sink or Swim, which was coming up March 10th. So you do not want to miss that. But you had the best year in Nova Pro last year, 2007, being the only until now the inaugural Commonwealth Cup champion.
No, you said it right the first time. He's the only Commonwealth Cup champion ever.
Yeah.
In the history of ever. There's only one name on that cup, and it is his.
Correct. And taking down big name talent such as heated rivalry with Czech Sterling. You had John Kerman, David Starr, and you also beat Eric Royal, who was undefeated at the time. So you had that, and then you actually went on to beat Czech Sterling for the Ultra J Championship later on in the year. I mean, any type of match stipulation, let it be a ladder match or whatever it may be, you came and you conquered. You had new competitors, such as Sage Phillips step up to the plate, knock him down. I mean, you couldn't go wrong with 2007. I literally just have to ask, what is next? And I will revisit this question again, but what is really next for Logan Easton LaRoux come 2018?
2018, I'd like to get 1%, not just myself, up at a higher level. So that includes AJ, Alexander James, Prince of Pro Wrestling, Bobby Shields, and Gunnar Miller.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man, I would say if you were to put money on the Commonwealth Cup, it's going to be coming back to the 1%. between one of the four of us, one of us is going to win it. What else? Right now, I've main evented every Nova project, our anniversary show. I intend to main event this one again. Unfortunately, I did lose the last time, and I lost the first one. So I'm 1-2. I would like to tie up my record on that. And I'm thinking at some point this year, maybe I'll capture that Powerbomb.tv title from Jonathan Gresham.
That sounds good. Cause that's another question I was have. But so yeah, you're working a few different promotions in 2017, and some I've already see bookings for 2018. You got Primal Conflict, which you are the tag team champions there. I have got to ask this too, actually, because I seen this on Twitter and I really didn't get any confirmation for this, but I seen something come across my timeline that you actually won the tag team championship title yourself. Is that true?
I won it myself. I had an assistant involved, but he's more like an intern. That's the reason. C.A. Elliott, who was, in fact, he was on a few Nova Pro shows in its first year.
I saw, I saw that. I was like, yeah, that sounds like him. He did it yourself. But yeah, you're working promotions such as Primal Conflict. You've worked down in CWF, obviously Nova Pro, Powerbomb, Freedom Pro, just to name a few for 2017. So, do you plan on expanding this list come 2018?
Yeah, definitely. Keep your eyes peeled, especially my Twitter. I think there should be some announcements coming up in the relatively near future about some new places I've never wrestled before. I can't give away too much, but just keep your eyes and ears peeled.
Right on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was good to see that you're definitely making the rounds and getting out there and doing that. And I know I've asked this question a bit for other guests, but I got to ask you, since you are expanding, how does it feel to break into a new promotion, new territory, and how does that change your mindset, if at all? When you does that change your approach as to how you go about doing business, or is it just everything that happens between the bells is the most important thing for you as far as getting the match done?
Well, anytime you're coming into a new place, I think you got to make a strong impression. How do you do that? You have to introduce yourself. When you're going out and wrestling the first time, I think if it's your first time out of promotion, you kind of got to show, for lack of a better term, the greatest hits when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main things that you can use to win, and a lot of times that's very heavy on character introduction. Now that Nova Pro's been around for so long and I've been on every show, I can be a little more experimental in the matchups to see what works and not. I hope as fans they realize that, but if not, that's fine too. But I think you always got to be changing too. You can't play the greatest hits every night, but you also can't play some weird experimental, transcendental type wrestling every night either. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, so now that I went to a show up in the New York area back in, I want to say October, and honestly, I went to see you and one Bo Crockett, and I gotta admit, the crowd was restless, less than enthusiastic, and I think somebody may actually have died, and nobody had noticed. But you actually brought the crowd back to life. Like, what is that like? And I'm not going to name names because it doesn't really matter. But what is that like, being in front of a crowd that's like, and you have to almost physically at times pull them back into the match, because it was like a chess tournament in there until you came out and you did your bit with the sweatshirt, with the sweater and the whole thing, and it got a reaction, and the match was, well, very short, which was unfortunate, but still got a reaction. And how does that feel when you go out there? The crowd is dead, and how does that change your match preparation when you got to kind of bring them back?
I didn't realize you were in that crowd. I'm sorry. Not every fan base can be like No Pros or some of the other ones. But yeah, that crowd, it was like a morgue out there. And I said, I mean, I can go out and wrestle my heart out, take lots of bumps, try to do something crazy to get the people on my side, or I can start talking. And there were so few people I could look into the eyes of pretty much every single person in that crowd and try to make that connection with them. Because I don't know if I'm bumping, you're going to react, but I know if I'm looking you right in the face and I'm talking to you, you're probably going to react to me, right?
Yeah. Well, they did. They did. And unfortunately, it was like, it felt like a 2-hour long promo for a 13-second match, which was the main event. That's a different problem. But still, you had to bring that crowd back from the doors of death. Is that something that you're ever prepared for? Or is it just like, well, hey, this is what we got to do, and it's just part of the job?
I mean, it's part of the job, and I think you should be prepared in a certain way for it. Just like, to me, I'm getting paid, and I need to figure out what that audience wants so they're getting the most bang for the buck. I think a lot of the matches on that show before me were testing it, and they couldn't figure it out. I've been around for a while. I've wrestled in front of all kinds of crowds, small, big, quiet, loud, everything. So I don't think there's any performer that hopes for a crowd that's like that. But I welcome the challenge to try to get that crowd to react when they're not.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. Personally, it was something new because I'd never been in that experience as a fan to go like, are you guys reading books? What the hell is going on here? This is super weird. And like a couple of the actual wrestlers, you could hear him audibly in the ring say, "This is the weirdest part I've ever seen," because it was just it was like a church in there. And yeah, go ahead.
Earbuds and podcasts on or something.
Say that one more time.
I think they were listening. So I don't know what was going on that.
Right. That was a very different experience. But either way, still, that's like the testament of a good performer. It's not just going out there and working a match and collecting your money and going home. You got to have them one and more. And, I'll be damned if you didn't do that. So like just like personally, congratulations, because that was a weird one. And I'm glad that, eventually played out well.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well worth the 3.5-hour train ride up there. But it's the job. It is what it is. I do have a question though. You are the only current champion of any kind in Nova Pro. You were going into theoretically, we think that you'd be champion, Ultra J champion forever. But obviously, you ended the year with the belt and began the year without it in a bad bit of business down in North Carolina. Does that reinforce the importance of the Commonwealth Cup coming up this, April? Or is it something that you have your sights set on other titles?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think as of right now, the top prize in Nova Pro Wrestling is that Commonwealth Cup. While the Ultra J was there, I think you could make an argument that was on equal footing as that. Right now, I think the Commonwealth Cup and the Powerbomb TV Championship are both the top prize at Nova Pro.
Yeah, it's hard. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it's hard to argue against that, especially since currently, it is we don't know when the Powerbomb champion is going to come back. We'll come around, and we know that Gresham has it, and he's everywhere he is with it. But the Commonwealth Cup is something that's specific to Nova Pro. So even if it is a member of the 1%, realistically, how important is it that you bring home that Commonwealth Cup this time around?
If I can be the only person that ever holds the Commonwealth Cup, that'd be fine with me.
So then you would be willing to accept a Alexander James or Bobby Shields as Commonwealth champion? Because there's the 1%, but there's the 1% of the 1%, and that would be you.
That's correct.
So then, if you are the Commonwealth Cup champion, is that something that you're looking ahead towards now, or is it just one match at a time as you do face Tim Donst at the next show in March?
As of right now, I believe it's one match at a time. If fans want me in that Commonwealth Cup, Mike King is the one that makes the rules, so you got to contact that Booker man and get me in there.
Now, there's only three guys announced for it. Yes, it's Alexander James,
Yep.
Sage Phillips, and Eddie Kingston.
Yep.
Yeah, it would be almost. I mean, if I was a betting man, I can ensure that you will be in this tournament to at least defend your honor. And arguably, even if you wasn't, the fans will definitely rally behind you to make sure that you claim a spot in it. But let's talk about Sage Phillips for a second. Sage Phillips is another young talent making his ranks through Nova Pro. You guys had a lot of heated matches and a lot of controversial matches at that. 2017. I mean, we start off with pumpkin spice lariats where he challenged you for the Ultra J Championship. Now, granted, he had just faced the Ken Dixon earlier this match, and you earlier this card, and then you issued an open challenge. So he wrestled 2 matches that night. He came out with a promo and said he wanted to prove to Nova Pro fans that he belonged there. And I think there's no better way to prove that you belong in Nova Pro than coming after the face of Nova Pro. So you know, the ref gave you a hard time that match. Ultimately, Sage pinned you by a fast count, which was later overturned. So you remained the champion that night. You then again faced him at 11th Dimension for the triathlon, which in tags match you've was defeated. Then on 3-on-3, you also was defeated by a cheap shot.
Yeah, I remember.
So and then eventually you guys faced at Nova Pro's first show that streamed live on Powerbomb TV at Such Great Heights, where you beat him clean. Sage Phillips is in the Commonwealth Cup in 2018. I'm sure he has his eyes set on you. What do you have to say about so far with the rivalry with that, or even the opportunity to face this man again?
I'd be happy to face him again. As you saw last year, the universe righted itself when I was wronged by that fast count and his cheap shot. The better man came out on top at the end of the year, and I think if Sage wants to come back, if he's going to go for that cup, I'd be happy to knock him out of the ranks, or one of my brothers in the 1% will. He's a hungry young guy, and I was happy to work with him, but better man's always going to come out on top.
That's right. I think there becomes a trend where people seem to put their target on you, and although you may not win every battle, you ultimately win the war. I mean, you had Chuck Sterling and you had Eric Royal, and CSRJ. So to Sage, I mean, I like his work in the ring, but I mean, I think he's might be overshooting his gun coming after the face of Nova Pro.
Yeah, I think it might have been too too soon for him, but he got to win this past weekend, so
yeah,
he's trying to fall his way back.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this about, you have a lot of competition, and you're definitely of major ranks, climb the ladder of Nova Pro. But let's be honest here. You've won the Commonwealth Cup before. You're the only champion ever. Why do you have to qualify? Why aren't you the person at the end of the tournament that they should meet? You should just be the one who should defend your belt. I mean, do you feel that you're getting the respect that you deserve? Obviously, the 1% are behind you. But from the rest, do you feel that you get the respect that you deserve from the work that you put into Nova Pro?
Yeah, sometimes. I think sometimes Mike King and the bookers and the people in charge are very fair to me. The fans are typically not fair to me, but that's okay. You pay your ticket, you can make what kind of noise you want to make. It's not going to change the outcome.
True. But do you think that like the fact that you have to continuously prove yourself? I mean, if there's not a number, if you're not number one, then who is? And you were the last Ultra J champion. You're the only Commonwealth Cup champion, and you still find yourself proving yourself time and time again. And it feels almost, you were fast counted in that Sage Phillips match where we thought that, that he was the winner, and when the referee acted, unprofessionally. And it just, all of these different moments seem to add up. And it's like, what more do you have to do to prove yourself? So that's the thing. Do you feel that at some point that you'll get the respect that you actually deserve? There are receipts. We have them.
Go ahead. And I was going to say, and I think to add, and to add to that too, again, last year Commonwealth Cup, you beat the Czech Sterling. You've been calling for your shot for the Ultra J. You were not granted a shot at it with the next show at High Fidelity. So you had to, one way or another, sneak your way into that championship match. So, sometimes it can be questioned. Are you getting the respect you deserve, considering that you going in and out? You're at every show. There's never a question if you're going to be there. You're always there. You put in the work. You knock off the top. They can sign anybody or book anybody to be at those events. You'll knock them all down. And still sometimes you may be overlooked. So why weren't you the first person to face Jonathan Gresham at such great heights? Stuff like that,
I couldn't answer that. I would just say stay tuned.
You see, I mean, like just like to understand, like we can ask these questions, but you see how diplomatic that he's being.
Yeah,
like, he definitely, we're asking the questions that honestly we know that you want to ask, and that's fine. But as a fan of your work, I mean, the 1% and all that stuff, whatever. The work speaks for itself, regardless of how we get there. And honestly, put some respect on this man's name. I mean, he's due. He's more than due. He's paid all the due. So come on, Mike. What are you doing?
Thank you, sir.
I just want to talk about one of the most shocking moments last year in Nova Pro was the injury angle at the end of the show. That left pretty much everyone jaw drop, wondering where you really hurt for you to actually pull a fast one. I enjoy those. I enjoy all of you, all of the antics that you put on to either please the crowd or to make sure that you claim your spot. I mean, are we looking forward to much more of this come 2018?
I have to be a broken record, but you got to stay tuned.
How much more room is it in that gated community, inside that gated community, or surrounded by another gated community?
That gated community, we're pretty crowded. I believe if you talk to my friend Ed Dow, there's plenty of room in that gated community if you put on your dancing shoes and your nice suits, and you can show up there. Even I think that 1% t-shirt you got on, you'll be able to sit there.
As you said, maybe wasn't a fan favorite, but that the crowd, the gated community persona is all picking up, and it's all obviously all a testament to the work that you're doing in the ring. So, as you say, go ahead.
No pro in general, that whole crowd, it's picked up so much. What was you guys' first show? I'm sorry if I don't know this.
My first show was the first show of 2016. I want to say it was like February 2016, and I can't think of the name of it.
Right?
Is what?
That was a Springfield one, right?
Yeah,
that was
last
my
first. Springfield. Yeah,
that was my first. Yes.
It was at that hobo trailer park in Springfield with Dirty Mike and the boys.
I mean, but I think it's a testament to everybody's work in that company, Mike King's work as a booker and promoter. That I don't know how many people were at that Springfield show, but if you look at that crowd that was there last Friday versus then, without doubt, multiplied. And I think No Pro has one of the hungriest and hardest working locker rooms I've been a part of, especially recently, and especially right now with this huge indie boom in wrestling. I think it's really cool that in this area we have levels of talent as high as we do, and we're putting on shows as good as we can. And as good as they are, I mean, legitimately, after my match, I'm quick to go to the back so I can try to watch the rest of the show, to scout out competition and just purely for entertainment. And I think it hits a lot of the boxes that a lot of indie shows kind of just focus on one thing. But I think there's a great variety of talent and different match types that you see in Nova Pro that you might not see at other places.
Well, let me ask you this. I've seen you outside of Nova Pro, and I know that you work other promotions in the Mid-Atlantic area, and obviously the Nova Pro crowd is special. But
yes,
did you ever think that this whole 1% thing, and this is like, for people that don't know, that whole gated community thing was the brainchild of fans, for fans, by fans. Well, not for fans, because y'all can't come, but by fans, and that was an actual organic thing, and it's special that way. Did you ever think that you would be spearheading an operation like this, per like the melding of like great fans and a great persona coming together and actually doing some business?
No, I never expected it. I think unfortunately I underestimated the intelligence of some wrestling fans. Is all it was.
Now, have you ever? And I've been all over the country to see indie wrestling specifically. I've not seen an organic, fandom like the gated community before. And luckily, you and Bobby and Alexander James are a part of that. How does that makes it? That's got to make it much more special to be at a Nova Pro show than another show that shall remain nameless, where I take the train 3.5 hours for a 13-second match at quarter to midnight. God damn it! But that's gotta set the bar pretty high when you're taking dates, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's not a whole lot of places where I got people in the crowd that got my back. So,
well, there is that. I mean, that's that is one half of it. Also, um, obviously, in the country, we're in a very weird time, and hopefully, history doesn't completely repeat itself. But you seem to definitely play off of the 1% versus the 99%, and we've seen that happen throughout history, and it usually didn't end very well. With that said, do you think that what happens when the 99%, and you are turning people? I mean, I've seen some people scattered throughout the Annandale Volunteer Fire Department throwing up their 1% signs, with their Logan Easton LaRoux t-shirts. Are you concerned that the 1% will grow to be the 5% or the 10%?
It's not really about the number or the ratio. It's about lifestyle. So I'm not concerned with that.
Okay.
Join the 1%, you can join the 1%. You'll never be me. I'm the 1% of the 1%.
Right.
I'm happy to have you in the gated community.
Okay. So then great. It's not like an exclusive club, but it is a club.
It's exclusive. Don't get me wrong. It's exclusive.
Oh, okay.
But we're accepting applications.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, get your applications in. Then you check them out on Twitter at Logan LaRoux.
I mean, no doubt. I can say that beginning of 2017. I mean, it was arguably 1% versus 99% of the crowd. The cheer boo ratio, but now it is absolutely split down the middle. It gets the biggest. Like the fans are ready when your music drop. The fans either know to stand up, throw up their ones, or they're getting ready to get their boos out. But I mean, the whole atmosphere just changes all of a sudden, and with the intensity that's brought into the ring, I mean, it's easy to say that when your presence is there, that you're ready to capture for the night. So, I'm just curious to see what's gonna, as you say, just wait come 2018. So, I have another question. So again, a lot of people may consider you to be a bad guy, but some may know. And obviously, if you kept up with all the Nova Pro fans, such as if you kept up with all the Nova Pro news and stay on their Twitter, and obviously the Nova Pro got a big article in the Washington Post last year where you obviously your face was all over it, and they talked about what was it like to be in the 1%. And they also trickling into your daily as well. But yeah, like I said, many may not know that you're not a bad guy. You're a good guy that's have a big major influence into future 1%ers. With everything that's kind of going on in the world today, I want to know what's your thoughts and maybe possibly how your changes to protecting the future 1%ers due to the different school violence and other tragedies that's happening nowadays.
I mean, I don't know that I have an answer for everything, but I think we can do better. If you say it's a mental health problem, all right, we can do better on that front. If you say it's a gun problem, I 100% believe we can do better on that. I don't think anyone should be afraid to go to a school or go to work or anything like that. And unfortunately, it happens way too often now. It happens so often that I think we forget about ones that happened 6 months ago. It's just on to the next one. We talk for 10 days, then it's on. forget about it for 2 months, then another one happens. And my personal belief is that we should be the strongest nation in the country. I think we can do better than this.
Agreed. And again, that's one of the things that I'm really strong on. We need more love out there. And that's also, again, another testament to the Nova Pro family and friends and environments that you don't just absolutely get a show. You get a place that's family friendly. So, bring your family, come enjoy a show, have a good time, be safe. You don't have to worry about any type of hostile situations. I mean, you look back at the JCC, which had an incident. I think that was 2017.
Awful.
Yeah, just an act of ugly, which would probably deter and actually strike fear into the hearts of people. But the Nova Pro family rallied together, and again, we rallied and had one hell of a show that night. So you're hearing it from the nation. Go ahead.
We raised money to get rid of that vandalism too, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and people, people left work early to come and help clean up and stuff like that. So, Logan Easton LaRoux on the show and the face of Nova Pro, and you hearing it from himself saying that, this is the place to be. And he's worked all different promotions, and you're just not going to get an experience like that no other place but in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, 100%. I think that fan base, on top of how much fun they are watching the show, I think there's a lot of good people in that crowd too, generally. And I mean, I'm sure you guys have made friends through those shows. I think plenty of people have shown up, maybe kind of unsure of like what indie wrestling is or what Nova Pro is or anything. And I don't think too many people leave upset generally, or at least I'd hope not.
I don't think people leave at all. You see faces and they just continuously to come back, and that just obviously says that you're doing something right.
Yeah, 100%. There you go.
No, I do think that obviously, we can sit around and praise Nova Pro all day, but realistically, as good as they are, I still believe that there are some things that need to change. And the first order of business is putting some respect on Logan LaRoux's name. I mean, like, why are we even talking about whether he will win the Commonwealth Cup when he's the champion? He should be defending it. I mean, let's give him the credit, and it's great to see this operation be built for what it is and the notoriety that they're getting around the area and expanding. But he's your guy, and he's the champion, and he's the leader of the 1% for a reason. And I think that, embrace that. It is what it is, and it's, it's like catching lightning in the bottle when you're only going to do it once. Sure. With that said, though, the Commonwealth Cup is, of course, coming up in March. But before that, we have you versus Tim Donst. And it says the first time ever match. And honestly, why? It seems like as much as it's the same circles that you guys run in a lot of the times, that this would have happened by now.
Sure. It's first time ever at Nova. I can tell you. I saw some people out there in the construction vest, and I saw Tim Donst seems to be assembling a safety crew. Mm-hmm. I'm getting a little nervous. Maybe he's trying to come for that 1% spot. So I think we're going to put him back in his place on March 10th.
That's a great point. I definitely noticed there was a few extra hard hats in the crowd.
Metal pails and some hard hats coming out.
Now, granted, I am absolutely backing you all the way. But if I absolutely show up with a hard hat, that is not to cheer Tim Donst. That is to protect my seat and you, who is frequently thrown as a projectile towards me.
I'm hearing you saying that, but I'm saying you're not welcome in the gated community with a hard hat.
No hard hat will be in the building.
Well, since Tim Donst is, it only takes a second to put safety first. And, will you work a safe match with Tim Donst? Can we expect some modicum of safety between you and Mr. Donst on March the 10th?
I can ensure my safety. I don't know about his.
But hey, that's all we ask for. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do, but at least the champion has to be protected. Again, facing Nova Pro, let's keep it safe.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, you did say earlier that you felt there was a good abundance of talent that's going to be at the trial show. Do you have ties to any of these people that will be at the trial show?
I've wrestled a few of them.
Okay.
I have to look at the list right now. Somebody I know, Rump Thump, is going to be on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know him as Stefan Smith, but I know he's worked for OVW for a long time. He was around the Mid-Atlantic. He's from Baltimore originally. Who else do I know that's on that show? The CPA is a guy that I've seen before.
Yeah.
Benjamin Banks and Victor Griff, 2 Mid-Atlantic guys I know. I'd have to look at the list. I'm sorry, I don't have the list right on me to look at, but
yeah, more and more names are coming out. So, but no, those are definitely names that's already been announced and stuff. So you heard that if you're endorsing them or if saying you've seen them, those are people to look out for sure.
I'm gonna endorse Rump Thump for now, unless he disappoints me, then I'm gonna retract that endorsement.
Endorsements, endorsements are on a case-by-case basis. Apparently, that's fine. That makes sense.
Yes.
So now that you are arguably king of the mountain in Nova Pro, and you've definitely expanded the empire of Logan Easton LaRoux, it seems to be that the dream for an indie wrestler is to make it to TV somehow, some way. Is that your overall end goal, or are you just in a good place right now with the renaissance that is indie wrestling?
I mean, I'm happy right now, but I think if you're not shooting to go higher, then you should quit. So absolutely, I'd like to be in a better place in indie wrestling, and after that, I'd like to be on TV.
Well, I mean, I say that not to say that like TV is the end goal, the end all be all, and stuff, because there are definitely those that can, certainly make a name for themselves nationwide just on the indie circuit.
Sure.
But
I didn't sit around dreaming about wrestling in armories for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I mean that does make sense. Or or churches, or yeah.
Or bingo halls.
Or right. Certainly not in Hoboken. But I digress.
3.5
kid.
Right?
I have no idea. I have no idea where that is. It's okay. But
although I didn't make that trip, I saw a bunch of WTFs across the timeline after the conclusion of that main event, and a lot of displeased people who made the trip. So
they didn't invent the emoji yet for my feelings about that show. Yeah.
Well, hopefully I won't be a fan for a long time. I won't have to worry about that anymore. I do have another another strange question. So your finisher is a cutter. And I don't know where I seen this across that, but I seen it actually being called the ace cutter. Is there something symbolic with that, considering that that's actually the move that you actually beat Eric Ace Royal with?
No, I don't know who's been calling it the Ace Crusher. The move originally was called the Ace Crusher because Johnny Ace innovated it.
Yeah.
My finish is called the Gentrification.
Okay.
I adopted it after one Diamond Dallas Page, when I was much younger, gave me a diamond cutter.
Okay.
Awesome.
In that sense.
Yeah, no, yeah. Johnny Ace or John Cena's brother-in-law, father-in-law would that's how it works. John Cena's father-in-law invented that, and that was his thing for a while, and then everybody and their mother uses it. But only a few people can use it well. So, we know the diamond cutter, we know the RKO, and we know the gentrification. That's how it works.
I know one of the carnies does a Rainmaker one into it, which is fine, but I don't let him beat anybody with it, so I don't think he's perfected it yet.
Well, I mean, it is the carny, so what are you going to do? But no, I mean, it is what it is. But it's great though, and it's great to see that you've come a long way since the beginning that I've seen you in Nova Pro. How do you assess yourself as a wrestler? How do you know that you're getting better or worse? How do you know what you want to work on as far as whether it's your in-ring persona or your moveset, or when do you think it's time to shake it up a bit?
I mean, I think anytime. There's certain times I've been at Nova Pro and I felt like maybe the reaction isn't quite where I want it to be. I feel like it should always be ascending, and if it's not ascending, then I'm doing something wrong or I'm not trying hard enough. Like we talked about, taking that challenge of a crowd that is sitting there on life support. Can I bring them back to life? I think that says a lot to you as a performer. I don't find myself, if I'm at a new place, I don't find that I'm going to wrestle to silence pretty much anymore. I think I'm a strong enough performer that I can make somebody make some noise at some point in my match. And by the end of my match, hopefully the whole crowd is invested in some form or another. That would be how I'm at on the independent level where I'm at.
No, I mean, fair enough.
And I think also too, with that same mindset, I think you also do end up getting fans who may not have been invested into you in the beginning, becoming a fan, leaving out talking about you afterwards. I mean, with every show that you've had with either a memorable spot or a moment, and it leaves the fan talking and wanting more. So definitely being a catalyst and one of and the face of Nova Pro has definitely like, hate you or love you, they're talking about you, so you're doing something right.
Right. Yeah. As long as you're on the tip of people's tongues, that's all that matters.
That's right.
So outside of wrestling, outside of working during the week, how does a member of the 1% unwind? Do you have like courses? Are you taking like a quick jaunt to Paris? Like ATV racing and the sand dunes of Argentina. Like, how does Logan Easton LaRoux relax?
Honestly, back at the gym now. I tore my shoulder in around May of last year. So I was on the shelf at the gym pretty much for 6 months. I could only do cardio and do some real lightweight stuff. But right now I'm fully back in. I do CrossFit about 5 days a week. And I'm just trying to build my body back up to what it was. And that's honestly what I find relaxing, because I'll be stressed out about other things. But once I'm in the gym, or when I'm doing cardio, I usually just throw on some wrestling, and then I can run for however long I need to.
So you was working through an injury, is what you're saying?
Pretty much all last year.
You said May. So that was, hold on. Your ladder match was in.
Was
July. It in? Really?
Yeah. So the May that I hurt my shoulder, I had 3 shows that weekend. I worked Nova Pro. The next day I was at CWF, and that Sunday I was at PCW in West Virginia. 3 shows, 3 different states, 3 days in a row. When I went to bed that night, I don't know where it happened or how it happened, but I went to bed, my shoulder was kind of sore. But that's any independent wrestler will tell you. There's all the time. You'll come home, be a little sore, wait 2 days, you're fine. But I could tell something was a little bit off because my mobility was like way, way off. I woke up, didn't feel any different. A couple days, I was like, all right, I guess I'll just skip the gym, which drives me crazy with my anxiety. But it had to be done. Went to the gym, did some bench press. I was probably like 60% strength, and it was hurting horribly. So I took basically a full month off the gym. Went back in, same thing. No help. So I got an MRI done. He was like, look, here's this tear on your shoulder. If you want to get surgery, we can get surgery, but you're going to be, that shoulder, that arm is going to be 100% immobile for about 9 months if we get this surgery. You can kind of build up the muscles around it, but it's going to take some time regardless. So it's like, okay. So that's what I did. I took it pretty easy in the gym. And then July came. I had that ladder match. I was feeling like my shoulder was starting to come back a little bit. Chet Sterling gave me a blockbuster off that ladder. And if you watch the tape, I land directly on my left shoulder, which is not where I intended to land. But that was the shoulder I tore, and I grabbed my shoulder immediately. I think I said an expletive, so I apologize to the Nova Pro fan base. But that was it for a few months.
Okay, so I remember that. And I thought, like, Jesus, Logan's really selling tonight, but
yeah,
not good.
I super apologize now. I mean, give it up to the champ. I mean, working through an injury and working a ladder match, a super duper ladder match at that, because that ladder was very tall. I don't know how by the grace of God it was even sturdy in the ring, but the match was done, worked good, and yeah, there was some very funky spots in it too. So, yeah, definitely kudos to you again. Like Jamal said, put some respect on this man's name for sure.
Yeah, I will say that match at Nova Project last year with Eric Royal, my shoulder hanging on by a few threads. I'm pretty proud of that match.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the match that kind of disintegrated our section. So
yeah, I mean for sure I thought I was wearing black and white and we were, and you was a black bowling ball and y'all came right for us. You rode the strike, that's for sure. And I had something else before we get ready to close out of here. Something you just said. What was it? Lost my thought that quick. Jamal, did you have anything else before we get ready?
I just want to say that before we get out of here, definitely let us know where you're going to be aside from Nova Pro. Where can the people see you and reach out to you and shower you with plays, of course, and nothing else. On your social media.
Yep. At Logan LaRoux, Logan LOGAN, LaRoux LAROUX. I need some more followers, please. Hit that follow button.
That's right.
I will do that right now.
Yeah, so Twitter, make sure you get all the events. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of news and promotions that's going to be coming to his Twitter. Of course, we'll be retweeting it from our page. You can catch him at every show at Nova Pro, as he is the face of Nova Pro, as he is the champion of the 1%. He is the young and handsome Logan Easton LaRoux. Please get his last name right. I swear I was, upon research and all this other stuff I was doing today, prepping for today's show, I was like, come on, guys. Come on, y'all. So, so Logan, any closing remarks for the Commonwealth Cup for Nova Pro fans for Tim Donce?
Tim Donce, I hope you're ready for March 10th at that Sink or Swim tryout show. For the Nova Pro fans, I hope you show up for that tryout show and show up for Ripper to Shreds, the first all-women's show in Nova Pro history. Also, if you're in the area, on Saturday, March 3rd, PCW, I will defend my tag team championships against the Punk Rock All-Stars. For the rest of this month, there's a guy with a mask who wrestles for this place, Chikara in Philadelphia, and he'll probably be doing that. So I would recommend checking them out as well.
Yeah, Punk Rock All-Stars, elevator music, as they're frequently called by the champion of 1%. So yeah. But yeah, you heard it from himself, Logan. We definitely appreciate you coming on. We look forward to we're going to see you at Nova Pro. Definitely look to expand to see you at other shows and promotions. Definitely will be staying tuned to seeing where you will be working at. Very, very, very happy to be part of the 1% gated community crowd. It's not a privilege, it's a lifestyle. But I think for me, it's just a privilege to be sitting in there. So that's cool. But again, thanks for coming on. And again, I'm still really, really capturing what you said earlier about working through that injury, because those are some brutal matches, dude. Yeah, I cannot even lie. We got a few pictures from after the events, and you have whelps all over your back. So the proof is in the pudding. And knowing that you was working through a shoulder injury, yeah. So, so yeah, I know I was gonna say that DDP yoga. Maybe that'll help you.
I'll be honest, but I should look into it.
Yeah.
Sponsor this show too, DDP.
But this is the Big Go Bell podcast. Thanks for everybody who's listening. And Logan, thanks again once again for coming on. And you guys step over to his Twitter, hit that like button, and stay tuned for all his events. Step over to Nova Pro's Twitter page for for all upcoming events for them as well too. Make sure you check out powerbomb.tv. Use that Nova Pro. They changed the code, so I'm not going to quote it, but there's a new promo code for Nova Pro for you to get a 20-day free trial. You can catch up on all of Logan's events and matches from last year, and you can see upcoming events as well, which will be on there. So thanks for tuning in. We will catch you guys next week.
See ya.